Hey guys, welcome back to Brain Dump. I'm Kai. Today I'm going to be talking about overcoming my anxious attachment style. Before I start, again, want to preface per usual, I am not a medical professional. Don't listen to me for any medical advice, because no. So first, what is anxious attachment? On health.com, I found that, according to attachment theory, you develop an attachment style in childhood that is influenced by both genetic factors and the relationships you have with your caregivers. As you get older, your attachment style shapes how you navigate close relationships. This is something that has put a strain on most relationships I've ever had in my life, whether that be romantic or platonic. I just have had that attachment style since I was a kid. It's who I am. There are some things in life that you just can't change. Like, this is something my brain will always have it. I've struggled with the control over that, but I feel like I have so much more control over it now that I've ever had in the past, and it took a lot of work to get to that point. So the reason I say I'm overcoming my anxious attachment style is because I don't let it affect me anymore. I've learned to love and value myself as a person, that I don't need someone else's constant validation to feel appreciated. You know, that validation is always nice, but it's not what I live for anymore, and that's the difference. I used to survive off of what other people would say about me, and I let it dictate how I thought of myself, which in retrospect is like, why the hell did I do that? It's okay. We live and we learn. My favorite quote that I've been living by lately has been, "This too shall pass," because it seriously does apply to every life scenario. Okay. Sorry. Like, it's going to pass. It's going to be okay. It doesn't seem like it right now, but it will get better. I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but mental health is peaks and valleys, and you're not going to be at those peaks at all times. It's just not how life goes. And I reflect on people that I've had this anxious attachment to, and there was a point where I never thought I'd be able to survive without them. And I can't blame that all on my mentally ill brain, but it definitely has something to do with that. That's another thing. Lately, this is something I've been struggling with, just my new mood stabilizers. Also, okay, I'm prefacing that I am responsible for all of my actions. I am in no way blaming them on my disorders or my medication. Anyway, my new meds have had a weird effect on my mood, which has made me spiral and overthink, and I've been so good about not doing that lately, but it's just my brain adjusting to these new meds, and I keep on having to remind myself that this too shall pass, you know? I don't know where that even came from, but I guess that was just on the forefront of my mind. There was a time where I was overly attached to the people in my life to a point where it was extremely unhealthy. After I lost the majority of my friends because someone told people they weren't allowed to be friends with me, I've become so much better at being a normal person when forming connections rather than obsessing and overthinking. So here are some things that I have to remind myself of when I was at my lowest and truly being anxiously attached to anyone I could cling on to. Don't assume anything. I let my mind wander, which ultimately can make me create these fake situations in my head, which leads to more anxiety. It's not fucking fun. It's just so much better to ask and communicate with the person rather than not talking about it at all. The next one is, I am a person before I am a partner. I have to give myself the space I need to be me, and if I can't do that while I'm in a relationship or a friendship, then it's not serving me anymore. Another one is, you're not responsible for other people's emotions. I talked about this in my episode about taking responsibility. We're all responsible for our own emotions. The reason I have this anxious attachment style is definitely the environment I grew up in, which there's nothing I can do about that now. It's just the way I am. Affirmations have also been a really great tool for me, and it's forced me to listen to myself, which I tend to avoid sometimes. And I think the main thing that I changed to stop this anxious attachment style is I stopped giving a fuck. You know, people are going to believe what they want to believe about me. Not everyone's going to like me. Not everyone's going to stay in my life. People come and go. I don't want people in my life that don't care to know my side of the story. Like, I'm really at a point where I'm at peace with the shitty things that have happened, and I think I've changed as a person after fucking up, and as I've said before, I'm not perfect, and I'm still learning, and I'm trying to grow, but I know in my mind that I have grown, and people are gonna believe whatever they want to believe. And unfortunately, sometimes people don't care to hear what the fuck I have to say. At all. Also, the world is so big. Like, think about all the people. 8 billion people. I thought my world was going to end at 19. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm not choosing to constantly think about the people who hurt me when I'm most likely never going to see them ever again, and there are so many people on this planet. Why be attached to someone that couldn't give two shits about me when there's 8 billion people on Earth? I grasped onto the bare minimum for so long when I was doing the most I could in a relationship, and they couldn't even bother to take me on a single date or show me that they even fucking cared about me. Like, when you're in a relationship, you want to feel special, and some people just aren't going to put in the effort. And being anxiously attached to those people is exhausting because you will never be good enough for them. And I think a huge part of healing from this was realizing that nothing is forever. And that can be taken as a negative or a positive thing. It really depends on how you look at it. For example, say I'm going through a really hard time financially, because we all are, let's face it. Because America's too damn expensive. But that's not forever. At some point, I'll have it figured out. As much as a person can, at least. I don't think anyone ever truly figures life out. We're only here for, 70-ish years, if we're lucky. That's not enough time to figure it all out. And there's so many things I feel like I'm learning every day. And I don't think that ever ends. And I think that's a beautiful thing, that we continue to learn as humans. But, this too shall pass. Okay, say I have a really great relationship. Nothing is promised. Being overly attached to a point where I can't live without that person is unhealthy. I have to be able to be okay without them. And I'm not trying to be negative, because a really great relationship could last forever. Who knows? But I'm trying to be realistic in my head about what could potentially happen. Another huge part of overcoming this was spending time by myself. I isolated myself for a good 4 months. Like, I'm saying, I didn't speak to anyone. And those were the most transformative months of my life, because for the first time ever, I wasn't clinging on to someone else for validation. I just got it from myself. And this is an ongoing battle, like I said. I'm not letting it take full control of my life anymore. I'm still going to have these anxious attachment tendencies, but I now know what I have to do to stop it from taking over. And I feel equipped with the tools that I need. And I've also realized that it's much easier to maintain relationships now because I'm not constantly having to beg for attention or for them to even look in my direction. Like, it's not normal to have to beg for that. My whole life used to be defined by other people. When people I thought were my best friends stopped talking to me, I thought my world was gonna end. But that was kind of a turning point for me. Like, fuck, let me fix this. Let me fix this shit about myself. I've been hurting people, and I need to make shit right. It's what I have to do. The last thing I want to say about this is that not all people are going to understand it. From an outsider's perspective, people that have an anxious attachment style probably seem a little kooky, but take a minute to think about what shit that person has had to go through to make their brain think that way. Just gonna let you ruminate on that. Okay. Top 5 songs of the week. Here we go. Dial Drunk by Noah Kahan. Ask by The Smiths. If We Make It Through December by Phoebe Bridgers. Like or Like by Miniature Tigers. And Paper Mache World by Matilda Mann. Also, I'm adding in a new segment because I don't know why I didn't think of this before. We're gonna add a segment called Book of the Week. So, the book I'm reading right now is called The Midnight Library, and it's about this girl. Trigger warning, she tries to kill herself. She gets taken to this place called the Midnight Library, which is basically between life and death, and she gets to open her book of regrets and see how, if she made different decisions, all of the ways her life could have played out. And she gets to make different choices and see what would have changed if she did this thing and this thing. I think it's so freaking cool. I'm about halfway through it, but yeah. Oh my gosh, guys. I think next Sunday is Christmas Eve, is it not? Yes, next Sunday is Christmas Eve. That's exciting. Anyway, thanks for listening. Remember that you're loved, you're valued, and you're appreciated, and it's gonna be okay. This too shall pass. Alright, bye!